How much have you spent searching for healing? I do not mean only money, though that figure alone may shock you if you calculate it honestly. I mean time, hope, energy, faith. How many doctors have you consulted? How many treatments have you tried? How many remedies have you investigated? How many prayers have you offered, begging God to finally grant the relief that has eluded you? And despite all this exhaustive searching, here you are still seeking, still suffering, still hoping that somewhere, someone, something holds the answer to your healing. I am going to tell you something that may initially disturb you. Your healing attempts have failed not because you lack commitment or faith. They have failed because you have been searching in the wrong place. Okay? Every external search for healing, no matter how sincere, how expensive, how recommended by authorities, addresses effects while ignoring cause. You possess right now, within your own consciousness, more healing power than exists in all the hospitals, pharmacies, and specialists combined. This is not exaggeration or metaphor. This is demonstrable fact I've witnessed countless times during my years as minister. The question is not whether you can heal. The question is whether you will redirect your search from outside yourself to inside yourself, from external remedies to internal creative power, from the wrong way to the right way, where humanity searches and why we find nothing. I have witnessed something peculiar during my years as minister and counselor. People exhaust themselves searching for healing in every conceivable place except the one place where healing actually resides. They petition physicians as though doctors possess some mystical power to grant health. They beg God as though he withheld health from them deliberately. They try remedy after remedy, treatment after treatment, spending fortunes and decades chasing the cure that always seems just beyond reach. The tragedy is this. While they search desperately outward, the greatest healing power in the universe lies dormant within their own consciousness, waiting only for proper direction. Let me share with you a case that illustrates this fundamental error perfectly. I recall a woman who came to me after 20 years of medical consultations across 3 continents. First, the diagnosis was cancer, then arthritis, then heart disease. The specific diagnosis changed with each specialist, but her suffering remained constant. She tried every treatment modern medicine offered, surgery, radiation, experimental drugs. Nothing helped. Finally, bankrupted financially and broken in spirit, she found her way to my office. I taught her the principles I will share with you in this book. Within 6 weeks of practicing these principles, her symptoms began dissolving. Within 3 months, her physicians pronounced her healthy. The medical community called it spontaneous remission. I call it the natural result of redirecting consciousness from external dependence to internal creative power. What changed? Not her body initially, her consciousness changed first. She stopped searching outward and activated the healing intelligence that had waited within her all along. You see, most people approach healing entirely backwards. They seek to change effects, physical symptoms, while completely ignoring cause, which resides in mental patterns. This is like trying to eliminate smoke while ignoring the fire. Until you understand that healing must begin in consciousness, all external efforts prove temporary at best and futile at worst. We make ourselves dependent on 3 false sources of healing. First, we depend on physicians who, though skilled and sincere, can only treat symptoms. They cannot address the mental causation that created those symptoms in the first place. Second, we depend on medicines that may suppress or temporarily relieve but cannot heal the consciousness that produced the disease. Third, we depend on God, conceived as external authority, who grants or denies healing based on mysterious will, when in truth, the God power operates within our own consciousness, not outside it. Each of these dependencies weakens us because it places power outside ourselves. And that is precisely where power does not reside. Let me ask you something personal. Examine your own healing journey honestly. How much time have you invested in external remedies? How much money have you spent seeking that one treatment, that one specialist, that one medicine that would finally bring relief? What has this exhaustive external search produced? If it had worked completely, you would not be reading this book right now. Your past failures are not proof of incurability. They are proof that you have been searching in the wrong place. I am not telling you to reject medical care. Please understand this clearly. Physicians serve valuable functions in diagnosis and support. I am telling you something far more important. Medical treatment alone, without consciousness change, produces only temporary relief. The real healing, permanent, complete healing, can only originate where disease originated, in consciousness itself. Beginning today, I want you to practice something simple but profound. When next you face physical symptoms, resist your automatic impulse to immediately seek external treatment. Instead, spend 10 minutes in quiet reflection asking yourself, what belief am I holding that creates this condition? What thought pattern am I maintaining that requires healing? If you have arthritis, ask what rigidity in thinking it might reflect. If you have digestive troubles, ask what you are refusing to digest or accept in life. If you have heart problems, ask where you have closed your heart to love or to life itself. This simple practice of looking inward before rushing outward begins training your consciousness toward the right way to heal. This is not New Age mysticism or wishful thinking. This is recognition of where creative power actually resides, not in external circumstances, remedies, or authorities, but in your own consciousness, which created your body and maintains it every moment. External treatment may still be appropriate, but internal work is primary. Medicine addresses the physical level, consciousness addresses the causative level. After this chapter, you will never again throw yourself desperately at external remedies while ignoring internal causation. A fundamental reorientation occurs in your understanding. Instead of asking, what treatment should I try next? You begin asking, what am I believing that creates this condition? This shift from external seeking to internal mastery represents the first step toward genuine healing. The power you have projected outward all these years is finally returning home. The two men in the rain, why conditions affect people differently. Let me share with you the single most important piece of evidence that consciousness, not circumstance, creates physical reality. This evidence is so simple, so obvious, that most people overlook it completely, yet once you grasp it, you will never again believe that external conditions determine your health. Two men walk through the same rain on the same evening. They are exposed to identical weather, identical temperature, identical moisture. The same germs and bacteria are present in the air. Both breathe by all external measures. Both men face exactly the same circumstances. Yet one man develops pneumonia. The other remains perfectly healthy. How do you explain this? The difference cannot lie in external conditions. Both men face precisely the same environment. The difference must lie within. One man's subconscious mind accepted illness as inevitable when exposed to cold rain. The other's subconscious mind rejected any such suggestion. Same external condition, radically different internal response, therefore radically different physical outcome. This simple observation demolishes the entire theory of external causation that dominates modern thinking about health. During my years as minister in Los Angeles, I witnessed this principle demonstrated countless times. I recall two members of my congregation who both received diagnosis of tuberculosis on the same day from the same physician. Identical disease, identical prognosis, identical medical verdict, but their responses could not have been more different. The first man accepted the diagnosis absolutely. I have tuberculosis, he told everyone. I must prepare for long illness. The doctor says recovery takes years. He spoke of his disease constantly, identified himself with it completely, accepted the medical timeline as inevitable truth. The second man rejected the verdict utterly. This is not my truth, he told me. Perfect health is my reality. My consciousness governs my body, not statistics about other people. He refused to identify himself with the disease. He maintained his vision of perfect health despite the physical evidence. 3 months later, the first man had deteriorated terribly. His condition worsened exactly as predicted. The second man showed complete recovery. His lungs were clear. The medical community called it anomaly. I call it the inevitable result of consciousness creating corresponding physical reality. You see, external conditions, weather, germs, heredity, age possess no inherent power. They become powerful only when we grant them power through belief. The rain does not cause pneumonia. Belief in rain's power to cause illness creates pneumonia. The tuberculosis bacterium does not doom you. Acceptance of doom as inevitable creates deterioration. Your subconscious mind stands like a gatekeeper between external conditions and internal reality. External circumstances approach continuously. Weather changes. Germs are present. Family history exists. Years accumulate. But these conditions cannot enter and create disease unless your subconscious grants them admission. When you believe cold weather makes me sick, you open the gate. When you believe I'm immune to illness, you close it. The circumstance remains the same in both cases. Your response to that circumstance creates all the difference. Let me give you 3 questions for self-diagnosis. When facing any condition that others claim causes illness, ask yourself, first, do I believe this circumstance has power over me? Second, have I accepted someone's pronouncement as inevitable truth? Third, am I granting external conditions authority they do not inherently possess? These questions reveal how you have been unconsciously creating your own suffering. Now, I want to be very clear about something. Understanding that consciousness governs condition does not mean reckless exposure to danger. I am not suggesting you walk into traffic believing your consciousness protects you, or that you refuse to dress warmly in winter. Physical wisdom remains appropriate. The error lies not in taking reasonable precautions, but in believing that circumstances possess inherent power to create disease regardless of your consciousness. When someone tells you everyone catches cold in this weather, respond internally with calm confidence. Not I. My health originates in consciousness, not circumstance. When your doctor mentions hereditary factors, think quietly to yourself, my consciousness governs my body, not my ancestors' genetics. When friends warn you about flu season, silently affirm, I am immune through right thinking. This is not arrogance. This is accurate understanding of creative law. Practice this rejection of external authority consistently, and you will notice something remarkable. Circumstances that devastate others leave you completely untouched. You walk through the same rain, breathe the same air, face the same conditions, yet remain well while others sicken. The evidence is undeniable once you observe it. Consciousness, not condition, creates your health. This means you need never again fear weather, germs, heredity, or advancing age. You recognize external conditions as fundamentally neutral. Only your subconscious acceptance or rejection gives them power. A tremendous burden lifts when you grasp this truth. You are not victim of circumstances beyond your control. The power lies within you, where it can be consciously directed. The rain has no power over you. Your consciousness has all power. The curse of authoritative pronouncement. When a physician declares you have 6 months to live or your condition is incurable, something far more significant occurs than mere description of physical facts. The doctor believes he is simply reporting objective medical reality. But he is actually doing something much more powerful and much more dangerous. He is impressing your subconscious mind with tremendous force. Authority figures possess extraordinary power to create what they pronounce. This is not because their words contain magic, but because your consciousness has been trained since childhood to accept authority without question. When the doctor speaks, your conscious mind, which normally evaluates and questions, steps aside and allows his words to pass directly into your subconscious mind, where they are accepted as absolute truth. Let me share a case that demonstrates this principle perfectly. A woman came to me several years ago after receiving a devastating diagnosis from 3 different specialists. They all agreed, inoperable brain tumor, 3 months to live, no hope. She brought the x-rays, the medical reports, the unified verdict of the experts. Any reasonable person would have accepted such overwhelming professional consensus. But she said something remarkable that afternoon in my office. "Dr. Murphy," she told me with quiet conviction, "I reject this completely. This is their truth, not mine. My truth is perfect health. My consciousness governs my body, not statistics about other people." I taught her the principles we are exploring together in this book. She practiced them with absolute faith and persistent dedication. 2 months later, 1 month before her scheduled death, according to medical prediction, new x-rays showed the tumor vanishing. Her doctors were stunned. 6 months after her death sentence, she was completely healthy. The medical verdict had no power whatsoever because her consciousness rejected it entirely. You must understand why authoritative pronouncements carry such tremendous creative force. Your subconscious mind accepts authority more readily than it accepts your own thoughts, precisely because conscious training has conditioned you to defer to experts. When your doctor speaks with authority, backed by credentials, experience, and scientific terminology, your conscious critical faculty relaxes. The words enter your subconscious without resistance, where they immediately begin creating corresponding physical reality. This is why medical verdicts often prove self-fulfilling, not because they accurately predict inevitable outcomes, but because consciousness accepts them as truth and creates that truth in physical form. The doctor pronounces doom. Consciousness accepts doom. Body manifests doom. The chain is unbreakable unless you break it consciously. Now, here is something crucial you must learn. Medical diagnosis can be information without becoming verdict. Your physician can inform you, tests show this condition, without your accepting, therefore this outcome is inevitable. Learn to receive the first while rejecting the second. Accept facts while refusing to accept fate. Facts are observations about current physical state. Fate is assumption about future outcome. The difference is everything. When you receive discouraging medical information, and at some point you likely will respond immediately in your mind, I hear these words: "I acknowledge the current physical appearance, but I do not accept this as my destiny. My consciousness governs my body. I decree perfect health, and my subconscious mind creates corresponding reality." This internal response prevents the verdict from impressing your subconscious as absolute truth. Never accept timelines. When a doctor says 6 months, or incurable, or permanent, or chronic, recognize these as statistical predictions about groups of people, not declarations about you specifically. Time itself has no creative power. Your consciousness operating in the eternal now determines all outcomes. Statistical averages describe what happened to others who accepted medical verdicts absolutely. They describe nothing whatsoever about what must happen to you when you maintain consciousness of perfect health. At your next medical appointment, practice this. Listen respectfully to everything your physician says. Receive information gratefully. But do not grant absolute authority to predictions or timelines. When the doctor describes your condition or prognosis, mentally insert this understanding. This is his assessment based on limited physical evidence and statistics about others. My spiritual truth transcends this physical appearance. My consciousness heals me. This does not mean arguing with your physician or announcing that you reject the diagnosis. That creates unnecessary conflict and closes potentially helpful channels of medical support. Work cooperatively with medical professionals while privately maintaining higher truth and consciousness. After the appointment, pay close attention to how you discuss the diagnosis with others. Do not repeatedly declare, "Doctor says I have." This repetition impresses the verdict deeper into subconscious with each retelling. Instead, if you must discuss it, frame it this way. Doctor found this condition, which my consciousness is now healing. First statement accepts verdict as defining reality. Second statement maintains your consciousness as creative authority. You now recognize that pronouncements, medical, familial, social, have only the power you grant them. No authority figure can doom you unless you accept doom. No expert can limit you unless you accept limitation. No verdict can determine your outcome unless you surrender your consciousness to it. Your consciousness remains the supreme authority over your body. Reclaim that authority now. Your subconscious mind, the builder of your body. I want you to understand something that will transform your entire approach to healing. The power you have been seeking in medicines, treatments, and remedies has been operating within you every moment of your life. You have been looking for the builder of health in external places, while the actual builder, your subconscious mind, has been working faithfully inside you all along. Your subconscious mind built your body from a single fertilized cell. It accomplished this feat without any conscious direction from you whatsoever. While you were unconscious in your mother's womb, your subconscious mind directed trillions of cellular divisions, formed organs from undifferentiated tissue, constructed a complete nervous system, built a heart that began beating, and coordinated all this with perfect precision. This same creative intelligence operates within you right now. At this very moment, while you read these words, your subconscious mind is coordinating billions of chemical processes. It is digesting your last meal, circulating blood through 70,000 miles of vessels, filtering waste through your kidneys, fighting infections, repairing cellular damage, regulating temperature, and performing 10,000 other functions, all without your conscious awareness or direction. This reveals something profound. Your subconscious mind knows exactly how to maintain perfect health. It does so automatically whenever you do not interfere with destructive conscious thinking. Watch a child who cuts his finger. The child does absolutely nothing consciously to heal the wound. He does not direct white blood cells to the injury site. He does not consciously orchestrate the complex clotting process. He does not consciously generate new skin cells or rebuild damaged tissue. Yet within days, the wound seals perfectly. Within a week, you cannot even tell where the cut occurred. What intelligence accomplishes this healing? The child's subconscious mind, which built his body and maintains it continuously. This same intelligence can heal broken bones, dissolve tumors, restore vision, overcome paralysis. Whatever healing is required, it is not limited to minor cuts. It heals whatever it is not prevented from healing by negative conscious thoughts and beliefs. This is the crucial point most people miss. Healing is natural. Disease is the departure from nature, created by consciousness. Your subconscious creates according to the blueprint provided by your conscious thoughts. This is why two people with identical physical conditions often experience completely different outcomes. Their bodies face the same disease, receive the same treatments, have the same physical resources, yet one recovers while the other deteriorates. The difference lies not in their bodies, but in their consciousness. One person's subconscious mind receives blueprints of healing, the other's receives blueprints of continued disease. Feed your subconscious thoughts of disease, and it faithfully builds disease. Feed it thoughts of health, and it faithfully builds health. It makes no moral judgments about which you prefer. It asks no questions about whether you truly want health or disease. It simply creates whatever you impress upon it habitually. Here is something else you must understand. Your subconscious cannot distinguish between actual physical experience and vividly imagined experience. When you worry about getting sick, your subconscious accepts that worried about sickness as instruction and begins creating it. When you visualize yourself healthy, your subconscious accepts that health image as instruction and begins manifesting it. The physical reality has not yet changed, but the subconscious treats the mental image as though it were real and begins creating corresponding physical conditions. This explains so much that conventional medicine cannot explain. This is why chronic worriers develop the very diseases they fear. This is why positive visualization produces healing results. This is why faith healing works when it works. In every case, consciousness is impressing the subconscious, which then creates corresponding physical reality. Beginning tonight, I want you to do something specific. Before sleep, speak to your subconscious mind as you would speak to a faithful servant who awaits your instructions. Say something like this: my subconscious mind knows exactly how to restore perfect health. Right now, while I sleep, you are healing every cell, dissolving every abnormality, restoring every function to perfection. I give you the blueprint of perfect health, and I trust you to create corresponding reality. This is not childish pretending or wishful thinking. This is scientific programming of your creative mechanism. You are consciously directing the intelligence that built your body to now rebuild it according to the blueprint of perfect health. During the day, monitor how you speak about your body. When you notice symptoms, do not order your subconscious to perpetuate them by saying, "I feel terrible," or "this pain is unbearable." Instead, consciously instruct, my subconscious mind is healing this condition right now. Perfect restoration is occurring. The healer you have sought in doctors and medicines has been within you all along. Your subconscious mind is that healer. Give it clear directives, maintain faith in its infinite intelligence, and let it do what it knows perfectly how to do: create perfect health. The law of impression and expression. I am going to teach you the most important principle in all of healing. Once you understand this law, healing transforms from mysterious occurrence to predictable process. The law is this: whatever you impress upon your subconscious mind with feeling and conviction, it must express as physical reality. This is not theory or speculation. This is law as absolute and reliable as the law of gravity. Impress disease thoughts habitually with emotional conviction, and disease manifests in your body. Impress health thoughts persistently with genuine feeling, and health manifests. The subconscious makes no moral judgments about which you prefer. It simply accepts whatever you impress upon it and creates corresponding physical expression. Let me show you how this works through a case I encountered several years ago. A businessman came to me suffering from severe stomach ulcers. His physicians had recommended surgery. Before agreeing to the operation, he wanted to try what he called the spiritual approach. I asked him about his habitual thinking patterns, particularly the language he used when discussing his work. Well, he told me without any awareness of significance, My work eats at me constantly. This current project is eating me alive. I can't stomach certain colleagues at all. The office politics make me sick to my stomach. Do you see what he was doing? For years, he had been impressing eating, stomach, and sickness on his subconscious mind through metaphorical language that his subconscious took absolutely literally. His subconscious mind, being completely literal and non-discriminating, accepted these habitual statements as instructions and faithfully created corresponding stomach conditions. I taught him to change his language immediately and completely. Instead of "this work eats at me," he began saying, "I digest work situations easily and peacefully." Instead of "I can't stomach these people," he affirmed, "I stomach all circumstances with perfect ease." Instead of "this makes me sick," he declared, "I remain healthy and balanced in all situations." Within 2 months, his ulcers healed completely. No surgery was needed. No medication beyond what he had already tried unsuccessfully. What changed? His words changed, which changed the impression on his subconscious, which changed the physical expression in his stomach. The formula is mathematical in its precision. Impression plus feeling equals expression. The stronger the feeling or emotion accompanying your thought, the more powerfully your subconscious creates corresponding reality. Casual thoughts carry minimal creative force, but thoughts charged with emotion, fear, conviction, passion, worry create rapidly and forcefully. This is why a fearful medical diagnosis often proves accurate. The diagnosis itself has no inherent power, but it arrives with tremendous emotional charge. The fear, the authority of the doctor, the finality in his voice, the statistics he cites, all this impresses the subconscious so deeply that it immediately begins creating the predicted outcome. Conversely, this is why some people heal despite dire prognoses. They impress health on their subconscious with such complete conviction and emotional intensity that their subconscious has no choice but to manifest corresponding healing. Now, here is something crucial you must grasp. Your subconscious responds primarily to habitual patterns, not to occasional thoughts. One worried thought does not create disease. Years of habitual negative thinking do. One positive affirmation does not heal instantly. Persistent, habitual, emotionally charged, positive impression does. Most people make dozens of negative health impressions daily without any awareness whatsoever. Listen to common expressions. "I'm dying to see that movie. This job is killing me. I can't stomach another meeting. That news made me sick. I'm worried to death about my finances." Every single one of these casual statements is a literal instruction to your subconscious mind, which accepts them at face value and begins creating corresponding conditions. Your habitual language reveals what you are impressing on your subconscious. More than that, it reinforces and deepens that impression with each repetition. Change your language, and you change your life, not through magic, but through the scientific operation of mental law. Beginning right now, I want you to monitor your self-talk with vigilance. Each time you catch yourself making a negative health statement, stop immediately, even mid-sentence if necessary, and reverse it. If you start to say, "I feel terrible," stop and correct, "I feel better than I am admitting. My body is healing now." If you catch yourself saying, "This headache is killing me," reverse instantly. "This temporary sensation is dissolving." Perfect harmony is being restored. At first, you will catch yourself only after speaking the negative words. That is fine. Reverse them anyway. With practice, you will catch yourself during the negative statement and interrupt it. Eventually, you will catch yourself before making the negative statement at all. Finally, negative health affirmations become impossible because your consciousness automatically rejects them. Okay? This single practice, vigilant monitoring, and immediate reversal of negative health statements will transform your physical condition more powerfully than any external remedy you have ever tried. Why? Because you are finally addressing cause rather than effect. You are changing the impression, which automatically changes the expression. Remember, words without feeling create little. You must feel the truth of your positive affirmations. When you declare, "I am healthy," feel health in your body even before physical evidence appears. When you affirm, "Divine life flows through me," sense that life force as real and present. Emotionless repetition of affirmations is like planting seeds in barren ground. Nothing grows. You now understand why you have suffered. You have been unconsciously impressing your subconscious with disease through negative language and fear thoughts. But this knowledge liberates rather than condemns you. You are not cursed or unlucky. You have simply been operating according to law while unaware of the law itself. Now you know the law. Impress health consciously and persistently, and your subconscious must express it as physical reality. The law never fails. The two minds you role as conscious director. You possess not one mind, but two distinct aspects working together. Understanding this distinction is absolutely crucial for healing. Your conscious mind reasons, selects, and chooses. Your subconscious mind accepts, creates, and manifests. The conscious mind is the gardener who selects which seeds to plant. The subconscious mind is the garden that grows whatever seeds are planted, asking no questions about their desirability. Most people fail at healing because they misunderstand the proper relationship between these two minds. Let me illustrate this with a case that demonstrates the error perfectly. A woman came to me, suffering from chronic insomnia that had plagued her for 3 years. Every night she lay in bed, desperately trying to fall asleep through sheer conscious willpower. "I will fall asleep," she told herself forcefully. "I will relax. I must sleep." She tried to control every aspect of the sleep process consciously. The harder she tried, the worse her insomnia became. Why? She was attempting to control a subconscious function through conscious force. Sleep is a subconscious process. You cannot command yourself to sleep any more than you can command yourself to digest food or fight an infection. These functions belong to the subconscious mind, which operates automatically when not interfered with by anxious conscious control. I taught her a completely different approach. Instead of trying to consciously control sleep, she learned to impress her subconscious mind with a simple directive. My subconscious mind now produces perfect, restful sleep. I release conscious control and trust its infinite wisdom. Then she let go completely. Within 1 week, her insomnia vanished. She stopped fighting against her own nature and began working with it. Right relationship between her two minds restored the natural function that conscious interference had disrupted. Your conscious mind's true function is selection and direction, not execution. It chooses what to think, what to believe, what to impress upon the subconscious. But it does not heal your body directly. It programs your subconscious to heal. When you try to consciously control bodily functions that belong to the subconscious realm, you create tension that impedes natural healing processes. Think of it this way. Your conscious mind is the captain of a ship, and your subconscious mind is the experienced crew. The captain's job is to give clear orders about destination and course. The captain does not run around trying to do the crew's work, adjusting sails, manning engines, navigating. That would create chaos. The captain directs, the crew executes. Each performs its proper function. Your subconscious mind is not your enemy requiring conquest. It is your faithful servant awaiting clear direction. It cannot refuse what you impress upon it through conscious thought. If you impress fear, it creates corresponding biological stress response. If you impress health, it creates corresponding healing response. It makes no judgments about which you prefer. It simply accepts and creates. This is why the release technique is so important. After you consciously direct your subconscious toward healing through affirmation, through visualization, through feeling charged thought, you must release it. Trust your subconscious to execute perfectly. Continuing to worry, to check constantly for results, to anxiously monitor progress, is like planting a seed and then digging it up every day to see if it is growing. This anxious checking prevents the very growth you desire. Tonight, before sleep, practice the proper relationship. State your directive consciously and clearly. Subconscious mind, heal my body completely. Restore perfect function to every cell, every organ, every system. Then release it. I now release this directive to the infinite creative power within me. I trust it to manifest perfectly while I sleep. Let go of conscious control. During the day, when anxiety about your health arises, recognize what is happening. Your conscious mind is attempting to control subconscious functions. Redirect immediately. I have given the directive. My subconscious is handling the healing. I release worry and trust the process. You are not two separate beings in conflict. You are one being with two aspects of mind that work perfectly together when properly understood. Conscious mind selects and directs. Subconscious mind accepts and creates. Master this relationship, and you master health itself. You are not your body, the identity shift that heals. The single most transformative realization on your healing journey is this: you are not your body. You are consciousness that possesses and directs a body. This is not philosophical abstraction. This is practical truth that changes everything about how you approach healing. As long as you identify yourself as your body, you remain subject to physical limitations. When you recognize yourself as consciousness, you claim your position as master rather than victim. Your body becomes effect, your consciousness becomes cause. Let me show you how this identity shift operates through a case that demonstrates its power. A man came to me after receiving a terminal cancer diagnosis. His first words reveal his identity: confusion. I am dying. My cancer is killing me. I stopped him immediately. You are not dying, I said. Your body is displaying certain symptoms. But you, the real you, are consciousness observing these symptoms. You are not the tumor. You are the awareness that knows the tumor exists. This distinction seemed subtle to him at first, almost semantic. But I asked him to practice it consistently. Instead of I am sick, he learned to think, I am observing symptoms in my body. Instead of I have cancer, he affirmed, the body I direct is displaying a condition which I am now healing through consciousness. As he practiced this identity shift over weeks and months, his entire relationship to his illness transformed. He stopped being the disease and started directing its dissolution. Within 4 months, his so-called terminal cancer went into complete remission. His physicians called it unexplained. I call it the natural result of consciousness reclaiming its proper position as creative authority over body. You see, when you say, I am sick, you identify your essential self with sickness. The statement makes sickness your identity. When you say, I observe symptoms in my body, you establish yourself as consciousness observing temporary physical conditions. This linguistic shift, which reflects and reinforces a consciousness shift, gives you power over conditions you observe. Practice the observer position consistently. When pain arises, mentally step back. Do not say, I am in pain. Say, I observe this sensation in my body. The difference appears small, but is everything. First statement identifies you as pain itself. Second statement identifies you as consciousness observing pain, which means you possess power over what you observe. Here is the fundamental truth. You are consciousness that inhabits a body, not a body that somehow possesses consciousness. Consciousness precedes body, creates body, directs body. Body is servant. Consciousness is master. When you reverse this natural relationship, when you make body the master and consciousness the confused servant, you create all disease and suffering. Today, I want you to practice this distinction rigorously. When symptoms arise, instead of "I feel terrible," think, "My body is presenting certain sensations which my consciousness now transforms." When you look in the mirror, instead of "I look sick," think, "This body I inhabit is healing under the direction of my consciousness." This is not denial of physical reality. Your symptoms are real. Your pain is real, but they are not your identity. They are temporary conditions in the instrument you direct. You acknowledge them while maintaining consciousness as supreme authority. During medical appointments, when your doctor discusses your disease, mentally insert this correction: "The body I direct displays these symptoms, which I am now healing through consciousness." This constant practice establishes the master-servant relationship that is natural and necessary for healing. Stand before your mirror for 5 minutes today. Look at your body and speak aloud, "This is my body. I am not this body. I am the consciousness directing this body. This body serves me. I do not serve it. This body follows the directives of my consciousness. I now direct this body toward perfect health." Repeat this exercise daily. At first, the words are merely intellectual understanding, but with persistent practice, they become felt reality. When body identification weakens and consciousness identification strengthens, healing accelerates dramatically. Disease cannot touch your true self. It can only affect the temporary physical vehicle you inhabit and command. This recognition liberates you from the tyranny of physical symptoms. They remain symptoms, temporary, changeable, ultimately under the governance of consciousness, but they no longer define who you are. You are consciousness. Your body is your instrument. Directed toward perfect health. The feeling-thought complex, why emotion determines results. I want to reveal why affirmations fail for most people and succeed powerfully for others. The difference has nothing to do with the words themselves. It has everything to do with the feeling accompanying those words. Your subconscious mind responds not to words alone, but to words charged with emotion. I call this the feeling-thought complex. You can repeat "I am healthy" 10,000 times with absolutely zero result if the words carry no emotional conviction. But affirm health once with genuine feeling and complete conviction, and your subconscious accepts it immediately and begins manifesting corresponding reality. A woman came to me after 6 months of diligent affirmation practice for chronic migraines. She was frustrated and discouraged. "I don't understand," she told me. "I repeat my affirmations faithfully every day. Nothing changes." I asked her to demonstrate how she did her affirmations. She spoke in a flat, mechanical tone. "I am healthy," no feeling, no conviction, no emotional power whatsoever. She was reciting words like a bored student reading from a textbook. I taught her something different. First, I said, generate the feeling of health. Remember a time when you felt completely vibrant and well. Recall that feeling in your body. Amplify it. Make it stronger, brighter, more intense. Now, from that feeling state, affirm your health. She closed her eyes, recalled vibrant health, amplified the sensation. Then she affirmed from that feeling place, "I am healthy," with joy, with power, with absolute conviction. The difference was immediate and obvious. She could feel it herself. That, I told her, is how you impress your subconscious mind. She practiced this approach for 2 weeks. The migraines began diminishing. Within 2 months, they vanished completely. Same words, different feeling, completely different results. Here is why this works. Your subconscious creates according to emotional intensity, not intellectual understanding. This is why worried people manifest the very conditions they worry about. Worry carries tremendous emotional charge. The subconscious accepts that emotionally charged worry as instruction and creates corresponding physical stress. Conversely, this is why casual, positive thinking produces little result. Pleasant thoughts without emotional power lack creative force. They drift through consciousness, making no impression on the subconscious mind that actually creates physical conditions. To heal deliberately, you must generate healing emotion as intensely as fear generates disease emotion. Not mechanically, not artificially, authentically. Feel health before physical evidence appears. This requires practice, but it is absolutely learnable. Here is a simple 3-step process. First, recall a specific time when you felt completely healthy and energetic. Do not think about it abstractly. Remember it vividly. See what you saw, hear what you heard, feel what you felt in your body. Second, amplify that feeling. Make it stronger with each breath until it fills your entire being. Third, from this peak feeling state, affirm your perfect health 3 times with complete conviction. Practice this daily. You are training yourself to generate healing feeling at will, which is the master key to impressing your subconscious mind powerfully. Okay. Here's another technique I call the as-if method. Act and feel as if healing is already complete. Do not wait for physical evidence before generating healing feeling. That is backwards. Generate healing feeling first. Physical evidence follows. This is the natural order. Consciousness precedes condition. Feeling precedes manifestation. After your affirmations, add gratitude. Thank you for my perfect health. Not as future hope, but as present reality. Gratitude for healing already accomplished, even before physical evidence appears, creates the emotional state that manifests healing. During the day, when symptoms arise, do not mechanically repeat affirmations while feeling terrible. This sends contradictory signals to your subconscious. Instead, first shift your emotional state toward wellness, even slightly, then affirm from that better feeling place. Feeling and words must align. You now understand why previous healing attempts may have failed. Words without feeling impressed, nothing on your subconscious. But you also understand how to succeed. Generate healing feeling first, then speak from that emotionally charged state. The same emotional power that fear has been using to create disease, you now consciously direct toward creating health. The drowsy state's your golden window for healing impression. The moments before sleep and immediately upon waking represent the most powerful opportunities you have each day to impress your subconscious mind. These drowsy states are your golden windows, natural doorways into the subconscious realm where suggestions pass directly without resistance from the critical conscious mind. What you impress upon your mind during these times has magnified creative power compared to affirmations repeated during fully conscious states. This single technique, proper use of drowsy states, produces more healing than years of scattered daytime affirmation. Let me show you this principle through a case that demonstrates its remarkable effectiveness. A man came to me after months of practicing healing affirmations throughout the day with minimal results. His chronic back pain, which had plagued him for 5 years, showed little improvement despite his diligent efforts. I taught him to focus his practice almost exclusively on the drowsy state before sleep. Each night, as he lay in bed feeling drowsiness approach, he repeated slowly and peacefully, "My back is perfectly healthy." Divine healing flows through my spine. I sleep in peace and wake in perfect health. He continued this simple practice, repeating the affirmation as drowsiness overtook him until sleep claimed him completely. His last conscious thought each night became this healing directive. Within 1 week, he noticed significant improvement. Within 1 month, the pain that had resisted all other treatments vanished completely. Why such dramatic results? He was impressing his subconscious during its most receptive period, when conscious resistance was completely absent. You see, during drowsiness, your critical conscious mind, which normally questions, doubts, and resists suggestions, relaxes its vigilance. The gatekeeper steps aside. Suggestions slip directly into your subconscious, where they lodge deeply and create powerfully. This is the secret behind hypnosis. Hypnosis induces a similar relaxed, drowsy state where suggestions are accepted without conscious resistance. But you do not need a hypnotist. You can achieve this natural state twice daily before sleep and upon waking without any external assistance. Here's the technique. Tonight, as you prepare for sleep, relax completely in your bed. Let drowsiness come naturally. Do not force or fight it. As drowsiness arrives and you feel yourself drifting towards sleep, begin repeating your chosen healing affirmation slowly and peacefully. The infinite healing presence restores every cell. I am perfectly healthy. Divine life flows through me. Feel the truth of these words. If your mind wanders to worries or concerns, gently return to your affirmation. Continue repeating until sleep overtakes you completely. Your last conscious thought should be this healing directive. Throughout the night, your subconscious works on this impressed directive, creating corresponding physical healing while your conscious mind rests. Tomorrow morning, practice the second golden window. Before you fully awaken while you are still in that drowsy, half-conscious state, affirm healing. Before opening your eyes, before worrying about the day ahead, before conscious doubts can arise, impress healing on your receptive subconscious. I am healed. I am whole. I am perfect. Then open your eyes and begin your day. This sets the mental tone for the entire day ahead. These two practices, drowsy state impression before sleep and upon waking, require only minutes but produce exponential results. You are programming your subconscious when it is most receptive, most open, most ready to accept and manifest your directives. Commit to 30 consecutive nights of this practice. No matter how tired you feel, make this your last conscious act before sleep. Also commit to 30 consecutive mornings of affirming health before fully waking. Keep a simple log date and check mark for each practice completed. At month's end, you will possess undeniable evidence that drowsy state impression works with unique power. The improvement in your physical condition will convince you more thoroughly than any words I could write. Do not try to stay awake to complete more repetitions. That defeats the purpose. The goal is impression during drowsiness, followed by natural sleep, not maximum conscious repetition. If you fall asleep mid-affirmation, this is perfect. You impressed healing on your subconscious at the optimal moment, the threshold between conscious and unconscious states. Keep your affirmations simple and brief. I am healed works more effectively than elaborate paragraphs because it can be repeated peacefully until sleep arrives. Simplicity creates power in drowsy state practice. You now possess the golden window technique. Focus your efforts on these 2 daily moments when your subconscious stands completely open to impression. This strategic programming produces results that scattered daytime affirmation cannot match. Instant healing or gradual manifestation, understanding your timeline. The most common reason people abandon healing practice prematurely is misunderstanding about timing. They expect immediate physical results, and when symptoms persist beyond a few days or weeks, they conclude the method has failed. This misunderstanding has caused more abandoned healings than any other single factor. Let me clarify something crucial. Your subconscious accepts healing instantly when you achieve true conviction, but physical manifestation may require time to catch up with mental fact. A condition impressed upon consciousness over 20 years may not dissolve in 20 minutes, though the healing has begun the moment conviction is established. Understanding this distinction prevents discouragement and enables the persistence necessary for complete healing. A woman came to me practicing healing consciousness for severe arthritis that had crippled her hands. After 3 weeks of faithful practice, she appeared in my office, discouraged and ready to quit. "It's not working," she told me. "I still have pain. Nothing has changed." I asked her a simple question. "How long have you had arthritis?" 15 years, she replied. "And how long have you been practicing healing consciousness?" 3 weeks. "Then let me explain something," I said gently. "You impressed disease consciousness on your subconscious mind for 15 years. You have impressed healing consciousness for 3 weeks. You are asking 3 weeks of right thinking to undo 15 years of wrong thinking instantly. Give healing time to undo years of contrary impression." She understood. She continued her practice faithfully without demanding instant results. Week 4 brought slight improvement. Week 8 showed significant improvement. Week 12 revealed complete healing. Her hands, which had been twisted and painful for 15 years, were now straight and pain-free. Had she abandoned her practice at week 3 when she felt discouraged, she would have missed the healing that was already developing beneath the surface, invisible but real. Think of it this way. When you plant seeds in a garden, they do not sprout the moment you place them in soil. Gestation occurs underground, invisible to your eyes. If you dig up the seeds every day to check their progress, you prevent the very growth you desire. You must trust the process, working invisibly beneath the surface. Similarly, healing often works invisibly before becoming physically apparent. During this hidden working period, you must continue impressing healing consciousness without doubt or wavering. Do not dig up the seed through anxious examination. Now, some people do experience instant healing. Why the difference? The difference lies in completeness of acceptance. The person who achieves total, absolute conviction in one moment experiences instant healing. The person whose conviction builds gradually through repeated impression experiences gradual healing. Both are valid, neither is superior. Your timeline reflects your consciousness pattern. Do not compare your healing journey to others. Your condition is unique. Your consciousness patterns are unique. Your timeline is yours alone. The only comparison that matters is between your starting point and your current condition. Are you improving? Then continue. Improvement is healing in progress. Here is what I recommend. Commit to 90 days of faithful practice before evaluating results. This removes the pressure of expecting instant results while ensuring sufficient time for manifestation. Nearly everyone who persists with genuine conviction for 90 days sees significant improvement. Many experience complete healing. When physical symptoms persist despite your practice, resist the temptation to declare, "It's not working." Instead, affirm, "Healing is occurring now at the consciousness level. Physical manifestation is developing. I persist regardless of current appearance." This maintains creative momentum instead of interrupting it with doubt. If you have been practicing faithfully for weeks with no physical change, examine your conviction honestly. Are you truly convinced of healing, or are you merely hoping for it? True conviction produces results. Mere hope produces waiting. Strengthen your conviction through increased feeling intensity and frequency of impression. Meanwhile, continue living as though healing is progressing. Do not structure your entire life around disease. Make plans based on health, not illness. This maintains healing consciousness despite contrary physical evidence. The biggest mistake people make is constantly checking for physical evidence, thereby focusing attention on disease rather than health. Another error is setting unrealistic timelines based on wishful thinking rather than understanding of natural process. Healing has its own rhythm. You cannot force it, but you can trust it. You are now liberated from the tyranny of instant results expectations. You understand that healing consciousness produces results according to natural timing. This removes desperate anxiety, why isn't it working yet, and replaces it with confident persistence. It is working, manifestation is developing. You can now sustain your practice through the hidden working period because you understand this period as necessary process, not as evidence of failure. Trust the law. Continue impressing healing consciousness faithfully. Physical manifestation will follow in its proper time. Integrating consciousness and medicine you need not choose. One of the most damaging false dichotomies I encounter is the belief that you must choose between consciousness and medicine, between spiritual healing and medical treatment. This either-or thinking has prevented countless people from drawing upon all available resources for healing. Let me liberate you from this unnecessary choice. You can receive appropriate medical care while practicing healing consciousness. These approaches do not contradict, they complement. Medicine treats the physical level, consciousness heals the causative level. Medicine provides temporary relief and support, while consciousness addresses root causation. View medical treatment as a channel through which your healing consciousness works, not as contradiction to spiritual principle. The woman whose tumor dissolved under my guidance remained under medical observation throughout her healing journey. Medical involvement did not prevent her healing. Her consciousness healed while medicine observed and supported the process. Let me tell you about a diabetic man who came to me with dangerous misunderstanding of spiritual healing. He had stopped taking insulin because, as he told me, faith should be enough. Taking medicine proves I don't really believe. Within 2 weeks, he was hospitalized with severe complications. This is not faith, this is foolishness. I taught him a completely different approach. Take your insulin faithfully while practicing healing consciousness. View medicine as a bridge supporting you while consciousness rebuilds your pancreas's natural insulin production. Medicine and consciousness work together, not against each other. He followed this integrated approach diligently. Within 6 months, his insulin requirements began decreasing steadily. His physician, monitoring carefully, reduced dosages as appropriate. Within 1 year, he no longer needed medication. His pancreas had healed through consciousness while medicine had supported him during the healing period. Medicine and consciousness work together perfectly. Here is the principle you must understand. You need not reject medical care to practice spiritual healing. This is false opposition based on either-or thinking. Receive appropriate medical treatment while doing the essential consciousness work that actually heals. Medicine addresses physical symptoms. Consciousness addresses mental causation. Both have legitimate value in an integrated approach. Think of medicine as channel, not source. Your healing consciousness manifests through multiple pathways, including medical treatment. Your consciousness heals, medicine supports, and facilitates the process. This perspective allows you to receive treatment without giving medicine ultimate authority over your healing outcome. Before taking medication, practice this integration, affirmation. This medicine supports my body while my consciousness heals the root cause. The infinite intelligence within me works through all channels, medical and spiritual, to restore perfect health. This prevents the error of viewing medicine and consciousness as competing forces. They cooperate beautifully when properly understood. Attend medical appointments with dual awareness. Cooperate fully with medical professionals on the physical level. Follow their recommendations where appropriate. But internally maintain your healing consciousness. You need not announce your spiritual practice to your doctor. That is private, internal work. Simply receive medical care while privately knowing that consciousness, not medicine, is the ultimate healer working through multiple channels. Now, when should you decline medical treatment? Only when you have achieved such complete conviction of healing that treatment feels unnecessary. This is rare. Most people benefit from both approaches working together synergistically, and never, I repeat, never refuse emergency medical care in favor of consciousness work alone. Emergency situations require immediate physical intervention. Consciousness works with medicine, not against it. Do not make the opposite error either. Do not rely entirely on medicine while doing no consciousness work. Medicine without consciousness addresses symptoms while leaving causation completely untouched. The wisdom lies in integration. Medicine for physical support, consciousness for causative healing. When you take medicine while harboring guilt that this indicates lack of faith, you create internal conflict that impedes both approaches. Medicine and consciousness work together beautifully when properly understood. Release guilt. Embrace integration. Draw upon all available resources, physical and spiritual, in your healing journey. Medical treatment no longer represents failure of faith. It represents intelligent use of available support while consciousness does the deeper work of addressing causation. The false choice between medicine and consciousness dissolves into integrated practice that draws upon both realms harmoniously. Handling doubt, resistance, and discouragement. Even with perfect understanding of principles and diligent practice, you will face doubt, internal resistance, and periodic discouragement. I want you to understand something clearly. This is completely normal. It is not evidence that you are failing or that the method is flawed. This chapter teaches you to work with these challenges rather than against them. When doubt arises, it reveals remaining disease conviction that needs addressing. When resistance surfaces, it shows where consciousness still harbors conflict. When discouragement threatens, it tests your commitment to truth despite contrary appearance. Learn to recognize these challenges as diagnostic rather than destructive, and they transform from obstacles into opportunities. A woman came to me practicing healing consciousness for cancer. After her first medical follow-up showed no improvement, powerful doubt overwhelmed her. "It's not working," she told me, visibly discouraged. "The tumor is still there. Maybe I should just accept reality." I asked her a crucial question. What reality? Is this the ultimate reality of your spiritual wholeness, or merely temporary physical appearance? As she examined her doubt carefully, she recognized it as a test of conviction rather than evidence of truth. She reaffirmed her healing consciousness more deeply than before. The doubt had revealed where her conviction needed strengthening. 3 months later, her next follow-up showed the tumor shrinking. 6 months after that, complete remission. Her persistence through the doubt period made all the difference. You see, when you affirm healing and immediately feel doubt arise, this reveals remaining disease conviction in your subconscious. The doubt is not your enemy. It shows you what still needs transforming. Address it directly. This doubt arises, but I reject it. I choose healing conviction over disease doubt. My healing is established in consciousness, regardless of doubt's appearance. Understand that resistance operates on 3 levels. First, intellectual resistance. This can't possibly work. Address this with evidence and logic. Second, emotional resistance, fear, anxiety, hopelessness. Address this through feeling work and persistent affirmation. Third, subconscious resistance, deeply ingrained patterns developed over years. Address this through consistent, patient impression. Most people face all 3 at different times. When doubt arises, and it will do not fight it or feel guilty about experiencing it, simply notice it. Then consciously reaffirm your healing conviction more strongly. I acknowledge this doubt's presence, And I choose healing truth anyway. My conviction overpowers my doubt. Each time you consciously choose conviction over doubt, your healing consciousness strengthens. The doubt becomes opportunity for deepening rather than obstacle to progress. Here is something crucial about discouragement. It often appears just before breakthrough. When you feel most like quitting is precisely when persistence proves most valuable. Commit in advance. When discouragement comes, not if, but when, I will persist anyway. I will continue practicing regardless of how I feel. Create written responses to predictable doubt patterns. Write clearly. When I doubt because physical symptoms persist, I will remember that manifestation follows conviction. I persist regardless of appearance. When I doubt because others express skepticism, I will remember that their consciousness creates their experience. Mine creates mine. When I doubt my own conviction, I will remember that perfect conviction is not required. Persistent practice despite imperfect conviction produces results. Keep these written responses visible where you can see them daily. When doubt arises, read your pre-written response instead of allowing doubt to derail your practice. You anticipated doubt and prepared your response. Now simply execute your plan. When significant doubt or resistance arises, write it out fully. I am feeling doubt about healing. The doubt says. Then write your conscious response. I acknowledge this doubt and choose healing truth anyway because this externalizes internal resistance, making it visible and manageable rather than overwhelming and defeating. Do not interpret doubt as evidence you lack faith. Everyone experiences doubt. The difference lies in what you do with it. Do not hide doubt or pretend it doesn't exist. This gives doubt secret power. Better to acknowledge it openly than consciously choose conviction anyway. Also, do not let others' doubt infect your consciousness. When someone expresses skepticism about your healing, you need not defend or convince. Simply maintain your own conviction regardless of their belief. Their consciousness creates their experience. Yours creates yours. You are now equipped to navigate the inevitable challenges of the healing journey. Doubt no longer defeats you. Resistance no longer stops you. Discouragement no longer derails you. You possess resilience that transforms obstacles into opportunities for deepening conviction. Your healing consciousness matures through these challenges, becoming unshakable and therefore ultimately successful. The Master Key One law creating all experience. I want to reveal something profound that healing has been teaching you all along. The principle that heals your body is identical to the principle that creates all your experience. Consciousness creating physical condition and consciousness creating life circumstances follow the same universal law. Health, wealth, relationships, opportunities, all are expressions of consciousness using one creative principle. When you grasp this completely, healing becomes the doorway to total life transformation. You've been learning not merely how to heal, but how reality itself is constructed. A businessman came to me years ago suffering both severe ulcers and business failure. As I taught him healing consciousness for his physical condition, he made a remarkable discovery. His health problems and financial problems were twin expressions of the same internal poverty consciousness. Listen to his habitual language. I can't afford to be sick. I don't have time to heal. I can't stomach this business situation. Work is eating me alive. He had been affirming scarcity in every area of life, physical health and financial prosperity. His faithful subconscious mind created corresponding poverty in both realms. As he transformed his consciousness at the root, replacing poverty thinking with abundance thinking, both his health and his finances improved simultaneously. One fundamental shift in consciousness transformed multiple life expressions because all expressions arise from unified consciousness. The same subconscious mind that manifests health when properly impressed also manifests prosperity, attracts love, generates opportunities, and creates all circumstances. Master the principle in one area, healing, and you possess the master key to every area. One law, infinite applications. If consciousness creates bodily condition, then by logical extension, consciousness creates all external circumstances. The law does not operate only in the health realm. It operates universally. Your relationships reflect your relationship consciousness. Your finances reflect your prosperity consciousness. Your opportunities reflect your possibility consciousness. One law governs all. Examine every area of your life through this lens. What consciousness am I holding that creates this condition? Health problems reflect health consciousness. Money problems reflect money consciousness. Relationship problems reflect relationship consciousness. The problem is never out there in circumstances. It is always in here, in consciousness. When you recognize all problems as consciousness problems, you stop treating them separately. Rather than addressing health individually, then finances, then relationships as though they were unrelated, you transform consciousness at the root. As consciousness transforms, all expressions of that consciousness transform simultaneously. Apply healing consciousness principles to every life area. Choose one challenging area, finances, relationships, work. Ask yourself honestly, what consciousness am I holding that creates this condition? Then apply the exact method you learned for healing. Identify negative affirmations you have been making unconsciously. Replace them deliberately with positive affirmations. Generate corresponding feeling. Impress your subconscious during drowsy states. Persist regardless of appearance. You will discover the method works identically in every realm. Consciousness creating physical health and consciousness creating financial prosperity follow the same principle. The techniques are identical. Only the content of the affirmations changes. List the major areas of your life: health, finances, relationships, work, purpose. For each area, rate your current satisfaction from 1 to 10. Then write one dominant belief you hold about that area. Notice the direct correlation. Low satisfaction areas correspond to negative beliefs. High satisfaction areas correspond to positive beliefs. This reveals consciousness creating your entire experience. Now choose one low satisfaction area beyond health and apply healing consciousness principles to it systematically. Watch it transform just as your health is transforming. The same law operates everywhere. Do not become overwhelmed trying to consciously create everything simultaneously. Start with Health Master the principle there thoroughly, then extend it naturally to other areas one at a time. Complete your healing journey while recognizing it as training for universal application. You now recognize yourself as creative power operating not just in health but in all life. Every limitation reveals itself as consciousness created and therefore consciousness dissolvable. Every problem transforms from external force beyond your control into internal creative opportunity within your power. You are not victim of circumstances in any area. You are creator of circumstances in every area. This comprehensive empowerment is the ultimate gift of the healing journey. Discovering not just how to heal your body, but how to consciously create your entire life experience deliberately, magnificently, according to your highest vision, your divine nature, God operating through you. Healing ultimately teaches this profound truth. You are not a helpless creature begging an external God for favors. You are an individualized center of the one infinite consciousness. God is not separate from you. God operates through you, as you, by means of your consciousness. This is not blasphemy. This is truth that Orthodox religion has obscured, but that healing reveals clearly. When Jesus declared, "The kingdom of heaven is within you," He meant this literally. All divine power resides in your consciousness. When you claim perfect health, you are not persuading an external deity to grant what he has withheld. You are removing mental blocks that prevent natural manifestation of your divine wholeness. A religious woman initially resisted this teaching. "It sounds like I'm playing God," she told me with concern. "Isn't that blasphemy?" I corrected her gently. "No, you are recognizing that God plays through you. You are not separate from the divine. You are God's individualized expression in this particular form. Recognizing this is not arrogance, it is accurate understanding of your true nature." As she absorbed this truth over weeks of contemplation, her entire spiritual understanding transformed. She stopped begging God to heal her arthritis and started claiming her divine inheritance of perfect health. Within weeks, the arthritis that had crippled her for years began dissolving. Recognizing her divine nature did not distance her from God. It revealed the God presence that had always operated within her consciousness. You are not separate from divine consciousness. You are divine consciousness individualized. Think of ocean and wave. The wave is not separate from the ocean. The wave is ocean in particular form. Similarly, you are universal consciousness in individual form. This is not ego inflation. This is recognition of what you actually are. Traditional religion teaches transcendent God, separate, distant, external, judging from afar. Truth teaches immanent God, present, near, internal, operating as your very consciousness. Both aspects exist, but healing requires understanding immanence. God operates through your consciousness, not outside it. When you pray, you are not sending messages to distant deity. You are activating divine power within your own consciousness. You are authorized, not by external permission, but by inherent nature, to claim perfect health, abundant prosperity, harmonious relationships, complete joy. These are not gifts God may or may not grant based on your worthiness. They are your divine inheritance as individualized expressions of the infinite. Claim them without apology or hesitation. Transform your prayer practice from petition to recognition. Instead of, "Dear God, please heal me," pray this way: "The divine healing presence that I am now manifests as perfect health. God operating through my consciousness restores every function. I am expression of perfect health because I am expression of perfect God." This is not asking, but claiming, not hoping, but knowing, not begging, but recognizing. Practice this recognition-based prayer daily. Before sleep, instead of petitioning for healing, recognize your divine nature. I am divine consciousness. Perfect health is my nature. I manifest what I am. This shift from petition to recognition activates creative power that petition cannot touch. Petition assumes separation and lack. Recognition affirms unity and inherent wholeness. Spend 10 minutes daily in quiet recognition of your divine nature. Sit comfortably. Close your eyes. Repeat slowly until words transform from intellectual concepts to felt realities. I am not body. I am consciousness. I am not limited. I am infinite. I am not separate. I am divine. When you feel your divine nature even briefly, all sense of limitation dissolves. From this recognition, healing manifests effortlessly because you are no longer trying to become what you already are. You are simply removing obstacles to expression of your true nature. Do not confuse recognition of divine nature with ego inflation. Ego says, "I am special, superior to others." Divine recognition says, "I am divine, as are all being." We are all individualized expressions of one infinite consciousness. This recognition unites, ego separates. Another common error, believing that divine nature means you should already be perfect, therefore current illness proves you're not divine. No. Divine nature is what you are eternally. Current condition is what you have temporarily created through misuse of divine creative power operating through ignorance. You are divine regardless of current circumstances. You now understand yourself truly. Not as limited human, hoping somehow to become divine, but as divine consciousness temporarily experiencing limitation through mistaken belief. This recognition changes everything. You no longer petition external authority for healing. You claim your divine inheritance. You no longer beg for help. You recognize health as your nature. Limitation falls away not because you acquire something new, but because you remember what you have always been, divine, living as creator, embodiment of healing consciousness. This final chapter addresses the transition from healing to healed, from practicing consciousness to being consciousness. Everything you have learned must now become not what you do, but what you are. You do not practice healing consciousness as separate activity added to your day. You live as healing consciousness embodied. This requires integrating all principles into seamless daily awareness, recognizing yourself as divine creative power, maintaining health consciousness automatically, responding to all life through conscious creation rather than unconscious reaction. Years ago, a man completed his healing journey from cancer diagnosis to complete remission, grateful and relieved. He told me, "I am so thankful to be healed. The ordeal is finally over." I corrected him with words that proved crucial. You are not healed, you are healing consciousness now embodied. This is not an event completed, but an identity claimed. Live from this identity, not from memory of disease overcome. He understood. 5 years later, he returned to see me still perfectly healthy and shared this realization. I finally understand what you meant. I do not maintain health through effortful practice anymore. I express health through being. I am health consciousness living. This is who I am now. This is embodiment. Identity shift from sick person who got healed to consciousness expressing health. Initially, you practice healing consciousness as technique. You set aside time for affirmations, visualizations, thought monitoring. These are necessary practices for retraining consciousness. But eventually, these deliberate practices dissolve into natural expression. You do not remind yourself constantly to think health thoughts. Health consciousness becomes your automatic setting, your natural state, your very being. This transition from doing to being represents true healing. You are not maintaining health through constant vigilance and effort. You are expressing health through natural being. Even after physical healing manifests, continue daily practices, not desperately but joyfully. Morning affirmation before rising, drowsy state impression before sleep, thought monitoring throughout the day. These become natural rhythms like brushing your teeth. They maintain the health consciousness that maintains physical health. Many people heal, then gradually abandon their practices. Slowly, unconsciously, they return to old negative thought patterns. Disease returns because disease consciousness returns. Daily maintenance prevents this backsliding. You have awakened to conscious creation. Remain awake through consistent daily practice. Having mastered consciousness in the health realm, extend it naturally to all life areas. Apply identical principles to finances, relationships, work, purpose. You are not a healing consciousness specialist. You are a creative consciousness master. Every area of life becomes canvas for conscious creation. Structure your daily life around consciousness maintenance. Morning before rising, spend 3 minutes affirming health and divine nature. Throughout the day, monitor self-talk, reverse negative affirmations instantly. Evening before sleep, spend 5 minutes in drowsy state healing impression. Weekly, review all life areas. Notice where consciousness creates corresponding results. Adjust where needed. Monthly, assess overall progress. Celebrate improvements. Strengthen areas needing attention. This structured maintenance is not burden, it is joy. You are living deliberately rather than accidentally, creating consciously rather than unconsciously, expressing divinity rather than limitation. When others notice your transformation and ask about it, share what you have learned, but never force teaching on unwilling recipients. When the student is ready, the teacher appears. Your healed life is itself the most powerful teaching. Others will notice and inquire. Then share freely, generously, without agenda. Write a letter to yourself now documenting your healing journey, where you began, what you learned, how you transformed, what you now know. Seal this letter. 1 year from today, open and read it. This creates accountability and provides perspective on transformation that daily living obscures. Also begin teaching others when appropriate opportunities arise, not formally necessarily, through conversation, through example, through gentle sharing when asked. Teaching deepens your own understanding and solidifies embodiment. You master what you teach. Avoid believing healing is a complete event rather than ongoing expression. Healing is not destination reached, but consciousness maintained. Another error, abandoning daily practice after symptoms disappear. This recreates conditions that produced original illness. Also avoid becoming the evangelistic bore who forces healing consciousness on unwilling listeners. Share when asked. Live example always. Finally, do not rest on physical healing alone. Extend consciousness, mastery to all life areas. Total transformation is available. Claim it. Your healing journey has revealed the master key to all of life. Use it everywhere. You are no longer the person who began this journey desperately seeking healing. You are consciousness awakened to creative power, embodying health naturally, living deliberately as divine expression. Disease revealed itself as teacher pointing you toward your true nature. Suffering served its purpose, forcing you to discover the infinite resource within. You are healed not just physically, but fundamentally transformed from unconscious victim to conscious creator. The healing journey completes in self-recognition. You are divine, creative power expressing perfectly through human form. We return to where we began, humanity searching everywhere for what resides within, but you no longer search because you have found the power you sought in medicines, doctors, healers. And heaven dwells in your own consciousness as your subconscious mind, directed by conscious thought and charged with divine power. You possess right now infinite creative capacity, not potential to develop, but present reality to recognize and direct. Your limitations are not actual, but mental. Your problems are not permanent, but consciousness created. Your circumstances are not fixed, but consciousness materialized. The right way to heal is the right way to live, consciously, deliberately, divinely. Accept this truth now. Claim this power now. Direct this consciousness toward perfect health, abundant prosperity, harmonious relationships, purposeful existence, complete joy. Your infinite potential awaits only your recognition and command. Wonders will happen in your life.